Okay, I got these brackets screwed on, and I didn't use an impact after all. I used a regular socket, and I pre-drilled each hole. So I wanted to show you before I screwed the rest of these in here. What I do is I pre-drill this hole, and I put this lag in, and then I will adjust it where I want it, and then pre-drill the other holes. Now the reason why I do that is sometimes if I drill this hole here, let's just say I'm holding this and I drill it, and then I just drill all three of these holes. If it moves at all, I'm going to have two holes that could end up with an angled bolt. It could be going in any direction because it's not perfectly straight. Once this is in place, it's not going to go anywhere. So just another tip. And I wanted to show you what happens if you don't, if you can see this one here is at an angle. It's probably off about a 1/16 of an inch. If not more, it could actually be off an 1/8 of an inch. And this was a good example. I drilled this one and I drilled this one, but I didn't drill the middle one. So I drilled this one, and then I put this bolt in, I put this one in, and it automatically pulled it down. Now if I would have had this drilled first, like these, and then was holding this, when I drilled it, there's a good chance that I wouldn't have pulled it, it wouldn't have moved. And I'm not saying it's not going to move when you're drilling it, but it definitely helps. So just keep that in mind and be careful of this. What I can do here is just put a little wedge underneath here, a small sliver of wood. Either that, or I can take these two screws out and re-drill the hole, and then put some epoxy in there, or put some scrap pieces of wood, drive some splinters in there, little shavings, something look like a splinter, or a few toothpicks in there, but I don't recommend doing that. You're going to be better off just now something else you can do too, just thought of, take all three of the screws out and move the bracket over about a 1/2 inch. Move it a 1/2 inch back or a 1/2 inch this way, and then re-drill your holes. And then you're starting all over again. As you can see, these look pretty good. One at the top looks good. So, and another thing too, if these boards are bowed, which this one is cupped this way, and this one is cupped this way, it's going to affect your brackets. Look at how far this one is here. If you can see that. Hopefully you can. Now it'll pull down with a lag, but I'm not saying that this part of the bracket won't be leaning one way or another. I can already get a sense that this bracket here is leaning this way a little bit. So, this one here looks like it's really leaning. Again, I don't know if you can see that. And you wouldn't really be giving the square wouldn't do any good because I've got too much of a bow coming up this way. So again, that might not be a big deal. Put your bracket on. You could always beat on this with a hammer. I don't recommend that. Once you pull it tight, see what you got. Don't forget you're allowed a little bit over 1/4 of an inch variance in each stair step. So if you go from 7.5 inches on this step to 7 3/4 inch on this one because you're cattywampus a little bit, you're still going to be okay. Try to get it as good as you can, and then work with stuff like this. Like I said, you can always put some little slivers under there, or take the bracket off and reposition it.